both of his dudes in FBG got caught by the police in trap spots. That's a little bit confusing to me, Chad. One guy basically just liquidated like his musical fame, got $100 million, and he's spending buying this, that, and third, tricking on women, doing whatever he does. And then the rest of the team, they're keep getting caught in drug spots. That's kind of confusing. Ain't that confusing, Chad?
In the high-stakes world of hip-hop, making it out is the ultimate goal. But for Future's free band's inner circle, the exit strategy seems to have stalled at the front gate. While the mask-off rapper is reportedly navigating the stratosphere of the 1%, his own flesh and blood, Casino, is allegedly staring down the barrel of a life sentence. This isn't just about a rapper being rich, it's about a glaring disconnect that has fans and street commentators asking the most uncomfortable question in the industry. Did Future secure his own bag while leaving his soldiers to navigate a minefield? Public records suggest a staggering contrast. In 2022, Future reportedly liquidated his musical legacy for a sum reaching upwards of $75 million. Yet, as that generational wealth hit his accounts, his brother was allegedly operating out of an Airbnb, not for a vacation, but for a high-level distribution hub. The streets are whispering and the narrative is shifting from boss moves to betrayal. Is it possible for a man with a $100 million catalog to be unaware that his brother was allegedly moving weight that could sink an entire city? Or is there a darker reason why the circle is shrinking while the bank account is growing?
We believe that Diaz's connection to California is significant because we know, as mentioned earlier, the Mexican drug cartels smuggle fentanyl into our country over the southwest border.
When the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the DEA get involved, the conversation stops being about rat beef and starts being about national security. According to public federal statements, the bust that snared Casino was part of a massive, coordinated effort known as Operation Take Back America. This wasn't a local precinct making a lucky stop. This was a calculated strike against what authorities allege is a direct pipeline from Mexican cartels to the heart of Georgia. The presence of David Diaz, a California native with no known ties to the Atlanta scene, serves as a massive red flag in the federal complaint. This suggests that the operation Casino was allegedly involved in wasn't just a neighborhood hustle. It was reportedly a sophisticated interstate network. While Future was busy acquiring a $16 million waterfront mansion in Miami, the feds were allegedly building a case that linked his inner circle to some of the most dangerous organizations on the planet. The question remains, how does one brother end up in a mansion and the other in a warehouse Airbnb filled with 21 kilos of poison? The alleged snitching rumors didn't start in a vacuum. They started because the math simply doesn't add up for the fans.
Like fentanyl, they poison our community, but they have second-order effects and spillover effects like addiction, like overdose, like violent crime in our community.
To understand the weight of these accusations, we have to look at the cold, hard facts of the night everything changed. It was approximately 10 p.m. on November 14th when the tactical units descended on a quiet Forest Park property. Per the federal complaint, the scene was chaotic. As agents moved in, Casino and an unidentified woman reportedly attempted to flee through a side exit. In the heat of the moment, Casino was apprehended with $4,000 in his pocket, chump change compared to what was waiting inside. The real shocker wasn't just the arrest, it was the sheer scale of the evidence. We're talking about a setup that looked more like a cartel outpost than a rapper's hangout. This moment didn't just disrupt a drug operation, it shattered the free band's image. As the handcuffs clicked shut, the clock started ticking on a federal case that rarely ends in a not guilty verdict. Now, the public is scrutinizing every lyric and every vague social media post Future has made since, looking for any sign that he knew the storm was coming, or worse, that he helped clear the path for the feds to move in.
The drug dealer. Like, shit, I mean, 4K, they got this is kind of shocking to me. How is Future's blood brother, like, selling drugs? Okay, this don't make no sense. You got Scooter running out of a trap spot, Casino selling drugs, and now I'm hearing there's another guy named Lil Double O and he's selling drugs. What's going on? Yo, Future, all it takes, take $10 million of that $100 million you got and just give them, yo, 2 for you, 2 for you, 3 for you. Get these niggas out of the bando, bro.
The details inside that Airbnb are nothing short of chilling. Federal agents reportedly discovered 17 kilos of suspected fentanyl sitting right on the kitchen stove, packaged in duffel bags. But it's the branding that truly haunts the narrative. Some of these bricks were reportedly stamped with the Louis Vuitton logo. This designer drug branding serves as a grim irony. The same luxury brands Future celebrates in his chart-topping hits were being used to label the very substance allegedly destroying the community and putting his brother away for life. Beyond the drugs, the feds reportedly found a staggering $380,000 in cash scattered throughout the house, some of it tucked into designer bags, some of it rubber-banded and ready for transport. With money counters and vacuum sealers on site, this wasn't a slip-up. This was, according to public sources, a full-scale distribution hub. When you see this level of evidence, the mandatory minimums become a terrifying reality. In the federal system, 21 kilos of fentanyl isn't just a charge, it's a life sentence. As the weight of the evidence piles up, the silence from Future's camp is becoming deafening.
From the cartel and these organizations, it's coming from a source, coming into the country, and then distributed on a local level in these communities like Athens, like Macon in the Middle District of Georgia, hitting the street, and then being distributed by gangs and local distributors. And that flow of drugs, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. You can trace the pattern, and that's how drugs flow through our...
To truly grasp why the internet is turning on Future, you have to look back at the trail of tragedy following the FBG circle. The passing of young Scooter in 2020 remains one of the most haunting what-ifs in Atlanta rap history. This wasn't a high-speed chase or a rival shootout. It was a desperate attempt to escape a trap house that ended in a freak, fatal accident. Critics argue that a man with Future's resources should have been able to provide a clean exit for his closest allies. If Scooter had a legitimate infrastructure around him, would he have been in that trap house to begin with? This pattern suggests a systemic failure within the free band's hierarchy. While the leader of the pack is buying up oceanfront property, his generals are allegedly dying in fences or facing federal indictments in Airbnbs. It paints a picture of a king who kept his crown but let his kingdom crumble into the very lifestyle they were all trying to escape.
Individuals who profit the most from that distribution are often not in our country, and they're profiting, making the most money out of it.
As the dust settles on Casino's arrest and the snitching allegations continue to swirl, we are left with a grim reality check on the American dream. Future's catalog sale was supposed to be the ultimate win, a black artist securing his future and his family's future for generations. But money, as they say, doesn't change the person, it reveals them. The divide between the $100 million man and the man in the orange jumpsuit is now a canyon that may never be crossed. Whether Future tried to help and was rejected, or whether he simply outgrew the dead weight of his past, the result is the same. The Wilburn family is fractured, and the FBG legacy is under federal siege. In the end, we have to ask, what is the point of winning the game if you're the only one left on the field?
The silence from the high-rise penthouses of Miami and the sterile corridors of the federal justice system creates a vacuum where speculation begins to breathe. When a figure like Future ascends to the peak of the industry, there is a common cultural expectation that the entire foundation, the friends, the cousins, the brothers who stood on the corner while the first mixtapes were being pressed, will be lifted simultaneously. But as the details of the Forest Park raid continue to settle, it reveals a harsh, systemic friction. It's the friction between a man who has successfully transitioned into a corporate entity and a circle that reportedly remained tethered to the high-risk, high-reward mechanics of the underground. This isn't just about whether a brother was left behind. It's a study in the limitations of wealth. You can buy a man a house, but according to many who study these street-to-studio transitions, you cannot always buy him a new mindset or a shield against federal surveillance. The public reaction has been split into two distinct clashing camps, each offering a different perspective on the burden of the big winner. One side argues that once that 9-figure catalog check cleared, every excuse for anyone in the inner circle to be near a vacuum sealer or a money counter evaporated. They see the Louis Vuitton branding on those bricks not just as a choice by the distributors, but as a symbolic middle finger to the legitimate luxury Future worked so hard to attain. On the other side, there is a more somber, realistic assessment of the street-to-corporate pipeline. These observers suggest that for some, the thrill of the move and the autonomy of the trap are more addictive than a monthly allowance from a famous relative. They speculate that Casino may have been a man who wanted to be a king in his own right, refusing to live in the shadow of a brother's handout, even if that meant playing a game with a 100% loss rate when the feds are the ones keeping score. This brings us to the most chilling layer of the story, the irony of timing.
While Future was reportedly celebrating the anniversary of his most successful business ventures, the feds were allegedly mapping out the logistics of Operation Take Back America. The contrast is almost cinematic in its cruelty. On one hand, you have the height of black excellence, ownership, catalog rights, and global influence. On the other, you have the most devastating remnants of the war on drugs, fentanyl, mandatory minimums, and the permanent loss of freedom. It forces us to look at the free bands moniker through a much more literal lens. Is the band truly free if the cost of the lifestyle is a life sentence? The cultural fallout here transcends hip-hop gossip. It's a cautionary tale about the gravity of the past. It suggests that no matter how fast the private jet flies, the shadows of the block have a way of stretching across state lines, waiting for the right moment to pull the most vulnerable members of the tribe back into the dark. As we look at the wreckage of this situation, the loss of Scooter, the impending legal battle for Casino, and the reputational tightrope Future is now walking, we see the true cost of the pedestal. Being the one who made it out is a lonely victory when the people who know your real name are sitting in a cell or resting in a grave. The receipts, the bricks, and the millions of dollars create a picture of a family divided by a destiny that only had room for one person at the top. The street remains a jealous mistress, and in this case, it seems she decided that if she couldn't have the superstar, she would take everything else he loved. The conversation about loyalty, responsibility, and the snitch narrative will continue to burn through the forums, but the reality is written in the cold ink of a federal indictment. And if this is how the story ends for the inner circle of one of the greatest rappers of our generation, it makes you wonder if the price of that $100 million was higher than any of us could have imagined. And don't go anywhere. Click the next video you see on your screen for even more juicy celebrity chaos, betrayals, and stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know. See you in the next one.